There's an old Southern grandma adage that you can't fix stupid. Well, Liverpool kind of hopes that you can, because Hugo Ekitike just laid down a spectacular display in stupidity in every piece of context that you get after you start learning what happened. Like every piece of the story that just continues to develop makes it stupider, funnier, more confusing. I don't know. But this is not the first time that this has happened. Context being that Liverpool played against Southampton. It was 1-1, and then there was a late goal by Hugo Ekitike, after which Hugo decided to promptly, as you can see here by an entire Athletic article written about the subject, take off his shirt and show it off to the crowd, turning it around, hitting a little messy celebration, showing off his name, and getting a second yellow card. Now, as everybody except for Hugo here seems to be aware of, you get a yellow card, obviously, for taking off your shirt. It is considered time wasting, and this has long been an established rule in the sport. Right? It just is. You go onto the field, you have your jersey on, you take your jersey off, you're delaying the restart of the game in some way, right? It is something that is established. One of the few things that has an absolute precedent, that no matter what happens, if you do it, you're going to get a yellow. There is no wiggle room anywhere. If you do it, you're off. And Hugo Ekitike on a yellow card decides to do it. I don't know why. Nobody seems to know why. Except actually one person has a theory. And that person was the coach of the other team, Will Still, right? He has a theory, and it's one that I might actually believe. But like I said, not the first time this has happened. My favorite example comes from the World Cup, right? Because for some reason, this sort of thing happens more than you would think. Maybe it's the ego of the footballers that are in these moments. I don't know. But the guy's name was Vincent Aboubakar. Vincent Aboubakar is a guy that I once covered for, leaving Turkey to get a hair transplant in France and then pretending he was injured, and then he got benched by his team and then released. Clearly a guy that, avoids weird situations and controversy very effectively. He is somebody also that, while scoring for Cameroon at the World Cup to give Cameroon a lead against Brazil, then took his shirt off. Okay, he took his shirt off, he'd celebrate, and yeah, go me. Cameroon obviously beating Brazil is a monster achievement. Right, that's banner stuff. The problem is he got sent off for taking his shirt off, and Cameroon, if they had managed to score again, would have gone through to the knockouts. It was a goal difference thing. And even though this goal was in the 91st minute, you got to run into the net and grab the ball. I mean, you got a small chance of actually being able to get through to the knockouts, and screw just beating Brazil, stay in the tournament. But Vincent Aboubakar takes his shirt off, throws it away, flexes and celebrates, daps up the ref who gives him a red card, and goes on his merry way, giving Cameroon virtually zero chance of finding that next goal to be able to put themselves into the knockouts. They might have needed 2 or something, but you're still alive. It's not like they needed 7 goals and it was completely out of reach. I remembered watching it at the time, which is the funniest part about all of this, which is that you know what's happening. If it's one of the few times where when you're on the couch, your criticism is justified. Because I'm on the couch, and I'm watching Vincent Aboubakar, and I'm like, bro, I'm watching Hugo Ekitike, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And here's the thing. Even with Vincent Aboubakar, dude's ripped. He's yoked. I mean, you can probably, he's a pretty ripped dude, right? He's showing off the muscles. Congratulations, you just scored against Brazil, like that sort of thing. Hugo Ekitike is not doing that. He's wearing an undershirt. I don't know why that makes it even stupider to me, but it is, right? Like, you're taking your jersey off. It's to flex on him. It's like, oh, you're wearing an undershirt. Like you're 13 years old in middle school. I mean, I get it. It's probably already freezing in England. I don't know. Maybe he just likes the look of the long sleeves. It is a pretty swag-tastic look. I get it. He wanted to do, it wasn't about taking the shirt off. He wanted to do the celebration where he showed off his name. But then you learn more of the context. This goal was not about Hugo Ekitike at all. It was a tap-in. Now, obviously, DMCA is always lurking around the corner when it comes to me actually showing you this sort of thing. So I will try to show you in a small window and hope that it just gets through or whatever. It's a long ball over the top that is then brought down brilliantly by Chiesa, who then fakes the goalkeeper out with a fake shot and tees up Ekitike. It is a vintage tap in, right? Like, okay. The whole point of celebrating and turn your jersey around and hold your name up is that you just did something great. If I score a goal like Marcus Rashford against Newcastle in the Champions League, I am taking my jersey off and turning it around. Not if I already have a yellow, but if I don't have a yellow, absolutely. I am him. I am Himothy. I am him Halpert, okay? And I am messing up Dwight Schrute again. Turn the jersey around. Show it off. That you did that. You score a tap in? No. You go high five Chiesa and you go high five the guy that played the ball over the top, because guess what? I could have scored that goal, right? Maybe I wouldn't have had the athleticism to get into the position in the first place. Maybe that's the point that you're trying to make. But if I was jogging next to Chiesa in that spot and he passed that ball to me, I feel fairly confident I would be able to then redirect that ball with some body part of mine into the goal. Right, that is a goal that I could score. And Arne Slot was in the post-match press conference saying a lot of the same thing. And that's where we hit up this Athletic article, because I love that the Athletic wrote an entire article about this, because it means I'm not the only person that's genuinely crazy interested in this. Thank you, Andy Jones. Right, and this covers the entire press conference of Arne Slot here. He said it was needless and stupid. Right, I told him if you score in a Champions League final in the 87th minute after outplaying 3 players and hitting it in the top corner, I can maybe understand that you are like, this is all about me. Then he says a quote that I agree with completely. I'm old-fashioned. I'm 47, and I haven't played at this level, but I did score a few goals. And if I had scored a goal like this, I would have turned around and walked up to Chiesa and said, this goal is all about you, not about me. So needless, not smart. You call it stupid. I call it stupid as well. I think he's done a pretty good job here of actually managing to say all of the right things, coach his player, but not overly shit on Hugo Ekitike here. And so I think this is a pretty good job of management in the first place by Arne Slot, but also a sentiment that I like wholeheartedly agree with. You can't celebrate like that. I mean, I shouldn't say you can't. You scored a goal. You scored a winning goal pretty late in a match in the League Cup. You're playing a championship team, whatever. Good championship team anyways. You can celebrate however you want. I promised myself I would never be the celebration police. But if you were going to celebrate in a way that gets you sent off, if you're going to celebrate in a way that gets you cautioned, you should probably save that for when you really do something spectacular, right? Because now this is just dumb. You score a tap in. I mean, it's always dumb. You score a tap in, you take your shirt off, you get sent off. You want it to be even stupider? Check out the next line. The sending off was compounded by the fact that Ekitike's first yellow card had been unnecessary, or as left back Andy Robertson put it, also down to stupidity. Tussling with Southampton center back Nathan Wood, a foul was given against Ekitike. Frustrated by the decision, with both players pulling each other's shirts, he picked the ball up and punched it into the air. Ekitike got both yellow cards from stupidity. He got rattled by Nathan Wood, grabbed the ball, punched it. He takes his shirt off and gets sent off. By the way, he was substituted on in this game. His first yellow card he was subbed in the second half for Ekitike. They did a half and half switch. He got both of these cards for stupidity and a half. I don't know if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. He might have. But this is just this is the sort of thing. If you want to be a striker for one of the best teams in the world, you can't really be doing this. And if you're Liverpool, you thought you got rid of Darwin Nunez, and now all of a sudden you've got some sort of Darwin regen here. Now, the theory about why this might have happened, the one that I believe is that Alexander Isak being around and starting this match, right, and him being an even bigger money signing than Ekitike was, they're competing for playing time in the same spots, putting a lot of pressure on Ekitike. So he scores, and there's this big release of energy, and he was really amped up because he really wanted to prove that he's still there and is competing for playing time with this massive, like, British record type signing of Alexander Isak. Okay, that is an explanation that I get behind. But there's also this. Will Still, who was the coach of Ekitike at Reims before he moved to PSG, he coached him back then. He was the coach of Southampton. And they apparently caught up on the field before the game. Okay, and he said, Hugo cracks me up. He's a funny lad. We caught up before the game, and he said he'd come on and score, give me a shirt, and bugger off, which is exactly what he's done. He kind of called his shot. This is Babe Ruth pointing at the outfield and hitting the ball there. He said, I'm going to score, give you my shirt, then fuck off. He scored. I don't know if he gave him his shirt. I thought I saw him put him back on, but he scored, showed him his shirt, said you can't have it, and then fucked off. And then just hit the road. Like Will Still also said this in the Athletic article. Hugo cracks me up. He's a funny lad. So he's got kind of that trolling nonsense in him, but it was an unbelievably dumb play from a player that is now very much in the spotlight in one of the most premier striker position battles of recent memory. But I think this image of Arne Slot really just sums up the entire occasion. All right. Now that I finished recording this, I've got to go stream Rust for 12 hours because I'm in Rust Kingdoms. Feel free to join if you want.